welcome to the Marigold Standard, your weekly audio source of all things Dream Star Fighting Marigold. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined as ever by Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, how are you today?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I had a little bit of a fun Sunday. We're recording this on Monday, the 20th. Yes, it's your Martin Luther King Day, which it's a nice kind of little day off work. So that's why we're going to try to get a whole bunch of recording done, sir. But my Sunday was very entertaining, to say the least. We knew we were getting a storm coming in, 8 to 10 inches of snow. Now, storm was supposed to start around 1 o'clock. I usually leave for my side job around 9:30, hour drive. Puts me there at 10:30, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to go to work. And even Amber goes, you don't need to work every day. And I'm like, I kind of have to. And I don't know why. That's just, it's my curse. It's my curse. So sure enough, I planned ahead. And we had about 10 inches of snow by the time I got out of the restaurant. And I was like, well, I am in Old Forge, my hometown. I'm going to stay at my parents' house. So that's what I did. The only problem with that was I was going to stay in my old room, because why not? However, my mom did tell me, absolutely, you can stay over, no problem. But Lily, my daughter, their granddaughter, she'll be staying in your room. So I had to sleep on the couch. So Rob Goodwin, even at 42 years old, gave my dad a WrestleMania ticket for his birthday present last year. Still getting the couch, buddy, getting the couch. But no, I made it home safe. Okay. The one thing I was worried about was because the temperature was going to go from 22 to -2 overnight, was just the snow and everything refreezing. So I left my house a little bit after 6 o'clock, go home a little bit after 8, did a workout, and then watched the Marigold Corkin show. But main thing is I arrived home safe. But I'm great, brother. No complaints whatsoever. How's everything with you? Obviously, you were a little sickly last week. You're obviously feeling better now. However, you did tweet me a picture that you got into a fight with Miko Ano. It seemed like you got into a leg kicking fight. Like that. Remember that Tai Chi versus Kota Ibushi G1 match from about 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah, Rob, by half an hour before we hit the record button, he's like, you want to see my next leg or my latest injury? And didn't even give me time to respond. Then I decided I had an image. I said, I guess no matter what my answer was, I got to look at said injury. And it looked like this guy, this handsome, dapper man, it looked like that him and Miko Ano, just to keep things relevant here to the Marigold Standard, got into a kicking bout, which my guess would be that Miko Ano won. But how's everything with you, brother?
Yeah, I've got roughly a watermelon-sized bruise on the inside of my thigh, which is basically I went in for a tackle yesterday. It just happens. Went in for a tackle. Someone's tried to jump over the top of me. I've got the ball, and they've landed studs first on the inside of my thigh. Now, what was good was it was that cold yesterday that I felt absolutely nothing. Looked down, there was a cut where his blade had gone into my leg. I was like, oh, that's all right, that's fine. Spray it off with some water, off we go. And then once, obviously, I'd warmed up a bit, I was like, that stings a bit. I'm sure I'll be fine. Had a bath, went to bed, absolutely fine. Woke up this morning. Good grief. Goodness gracious me. It is, Kirsty described it as a Georgia O'Keeffe painting. It has all the colours, all of the color. Well, purple. It's a brutal bruise. It's not as painful as some of the other ones I've had, but yeah, it's visually, it's quite impressive. Yeah.
Well, you survived, my man. You survived, but it seems like that you have had quite a handful of injuries playing what you call football, we call soccer over here. Now, Rob, I don't know if I asked this question throughout the 3 years we've been podcasting, but other than soccer, again, what we call soccer, you call football. My apologies. Is there any other sports that you have played quite a bit?
Yeah, cricket.
Okay,
because I'm not British enough.
Yeah.
Lean into the Britishness.
I would see if I was British, my thing would just be more catch wrestling. But then,
exactly. You would just be Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, I'd be living in Wigan. That's what it would be.
Wigan. Played a lot of cricket. Which for those YouTube viewers, I don't know if you can see the little diamond I've got on top of my nose there. I don't know why I'm putting it towards the microphone, so that's going to enhance it. But there we are. That was it. That was broken by a cricket ball when I was 14, either 14 or 15. Cricket balls are hard. They are basically little pellets of death. And if you get hit with them, they hurt. They're slightly harder than a baseball. And obviously, you've got your helmet, and there is the lid of the helmet, so the lip, and then you've got the grill that goes around your face that is supposed to protect. Obviously, did a terrible job with me. Basically, the grill, because it's a grill, so you can't actually see this 90-mile-an-hour death ball coming towards you. So I've lowered the grill so that I can actually see, which obviously meant the moment that I got a short ball, I attempted to swat it away, hit the top of the bat and cannoned into my nose and broke it. So I've now got this lovely little diamond right here. Anyone that has seen me in person knows exactly what I'm talking about. There you go. You can see it just about there. There you go. Look at that. So yes, I imagine your question was going to be: have you had any other injuries from any other sports?
There it is.
Yes,
you went right into it.
The answer is yes. I've had multiple injuries. I was going through what I have and haven't broken, and I think I've broken more bones than I haven't broken, which is quite an achievement. It does beg the question why on earth I keep playing sport, to be perfectly honest.
I don't know if I've ever broken a bone. Maybe something in my foot from my dive a couple years ago.
You wrestle. How have you never broken a bone?
Or I think the nose has got broken from a Kawada kick. My nose is always, even when I was playing youth sports, my nose would always bleed easy. And then I would always use it, as me being the Ricky Morton of the blue and gold, where I would be on the cell. If I would always use it to a point where it's like I'm not getting the proper sympathy and I'm not getting the heels over enough. So I would always just tell myself, just hit me in the nose. On a scale of 1 to 10, give me your 5 or 6, and then blood. I'll do the cell, get the sympathy there. But yeah, I think that just from a lot of just the hits I've had to my face, I think the nose has been broken, but I never had anything tested before. I can't even tell you how many concussions I've had. I've never had surgery before, which is crazy. I've never had like a knee surgery or a foot surgery. I know I'm supposed to get my wisdom teeth taken out. I'm 42 years old. I've been told for 10 years, you got to get them taken out. And I was like, I'm just really just I've never been under, never, hey, count back from 5 to whatever. But no, believe it or not, I have for the style that I wrestle, that I have, I'm in pain, a little bit of pain every day, but that's just part of the territory. But knock on wood that I've never broken any bones. Now watch, like in 2 weeks, I'll go out and bust my shoulder up or something.
Don't say that. Don't say that. These tickets are non-refundable to Vegas, mate.
We're going.
We are absolutely going. Yeah, I've never had surgery, thank God, touch wood. But yeah, I've broken ankles. Both my wrists have been broken. I've broken ribs a couple of times, broken my sternum, broken fingers, my toe. My toe was really painful because my mate put, so like the science stools where they're just like the legs are literally just poles of metal. He put that on my toe and basically just jumped on it. So it just disintegrated my toe. That was really, really painful. That was. But yeah, thankfully I've never had surgery, which is a blessing. I always break it apparently just enough to not have surgery, which apparently if I was an Avenger, that is apparently my superpower, to avoid getting too seriously injured.
Avengers Assemble, Marigold Standard, buddy. There you go. I guess that's our lead-in.
Absolutely. So what we are going to do is, you've probably seen by the episode title, we're not going to cover the Korakuen Hall show on this episode, but you will have a cheeky bonus episode on Wednesday where we will go through the Korakuen Hall show that had Victoria Yuzuki defending the Superfly title, Mai Sakurai defending the United National title, and then of course Bozilla and Tank. Not Bank.
That's their new name now.
Maybe that should be, yeah. It's better than Tozilla, let's be honest. Defending the Twin Star titles. Well, like a lot of Japanese tag teams are just amalgamation of their names. Mirai Saku, for example. But yes, I can't imagine that Tozilla is going to catch on. Or Bank.
Nowhere near as good as Wanako that you created about 2 weeks ago.
Honestly, how they have missed that, I've got no idea. But we are going to cover the first 3 nights of the New Year's Golden Garden tour from Osaka, from Nagoya as well, and from KBS Hall as well, which right off the bat I've got an issue with. I love that venue. and we are going to chat very shortly about what my issue is with that show.
What could it be, Mr. Rob Goodwin? What could it be? But because the main reasons why everybody loves that venue, they were not allowed to see it. It's like, I like Christmas because I get presents. Guess what? You're getting a tree and nothing underneath the tree, and that's it.
I do like the idea. Exactly. Who did we annoy? No, it was still a good show. It's just that I would have liked to have seen it. The whole reason that KBS Hall is so lauded as a famous venue is because of that beautiful stained glass window. Though it does beg the question: was it Wrestle Universe rather than Marigold? It is Wrestle Universe's cameras, so I assume it is them that had the final say as to where the hard cam went. However, it's not the first time that Marigold have run KBS Hall and they had the hard cam facing the window. So again, I don't know, but it was slightly jarring to see the back of the wrestlers as they were posing to the fans as they entered. But there we are.
Yeah, let's put the heat on Wrestle Universe. We love the people that work at Marigold, so we'll put the heat on.
Absolutely. We have got a couple of bits of news today. Just a couple of things, nothing major. I did want to start, however, with an update on Kouki Amarei, who, of course, is currently out with an ACL tear, has a prognosis of being back for May, presumably for Shine Forever, Naho Takahashi's retirement show and the Marigold first anniversary show. But she has taken to Twitter, Kouki Amarei. She did have a photo in hospital, which initially did make me think, oh, okay, she has had surgery on that tear. It doesn't appear, though, that the surgery was reconstructive surgery, which is major surgery. She has written on ShoePro, she's written a column, actually, and has then retweeted it just to say, I've written in detail about my current knee treatment. Simply put, I'm aiming to return to work through suturing and PRP treatment. Make no mistake, I have not had reconstructive surgery. And she did actually go on to say that she walked out of the hospital, walked better than she did when she went in, and then went and had sushi with her dad, and was that enthralled with the sushi that she didn't take pictures, which I thought was quite funny. But just because I wasn't sure what this was, suturing, from the limited research I've done, it seems like she has had the tear sewn back together so that it heals. PRP appears to be something to do with placement, platelet. Platelets. What's it called? Platelets.
Dr. Rob Goodwin, DMD, folks.
I'm trying to remember what it's bloody called. Basically, she's having replacement. That's the word I'm looking for. Platelet replacement. So she's having red blood cells and stuff put in basically to aid the healing process. So again, she's looking at doing that as opposed to reconstructive surgery, which is presumably why she has got a prognosis of 5 months rather than your typical 9, 10, 11 months that you would see if you do have reconstructive surgery. I'm hoping, Matt, that this means that the tear itself wasn't too bad. Obviously, a tear of any kind is a tear, but fingers crossed it's not as bad as we first feared, because at first stream, it looked like she was in significant trouble.
Yeah, then once you hear like a tear, ACL, MCL, that could be anywhere between 8 to 14 months, depending. Not everybody has the John Cena healing powers, but it looks like it's nowhere near as bad as we thought. I mean, I think when we reported last week when we were talking on the Marigold Standard that she was on the press conference and she said that she wanted to come back for that show in May. And we were thinking that's 4 months away. That might be too soon. She may come back and then be out another year. That's what we don't want to see. But it does look like that, this is the best possible scenario of a bad situation. Obviously, we don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially Kouki Amarei, because Marigold needs this star power outside of Utami. And it looked like they were really getting it with Kouki Amarei. And she did make mention that she does not want to vacate the GHC Women's Championship that she just won a few months ago. But it does look like, all systems are go. It does look like that she's going to be back sooner than later. So hopefully in 4 months, as long as she's cleared by the doctors and 100%, we will be seeing her back at that Naho Takahashi retirement show, which would just be another way for them to boost tickets on what we feel is going to be a really, really stacked show for Marigold.
It'll be a really special show, 100%. I think, again, and just echoing what we said on the last episode of the Marigold Standard, as long as Kouki is okay and we're not rushing Kouki back, or Kouki isn't rushing back, then, hopefully she'll be back in ring, and, we'll be happy to see her, because goodness gracious me, Marigold's injury woes just continue, because on these 3 shows, we had another 2 people out. So on the first show at Osaka 176 box, Hummingbird ended up injuring her left knee in her match with Ryoko Sakamura, and she's now out. So again, we haven't had any confirmation for how long she is out, but she wasn't on the following shows. She wasn't at Korakuen, and she's not on the 2 shows that have been announced today, in Shinkiba and in Radiant Hall, Yokohama. So again, it seems it's that old adage, it never rains, but it pours, because then following that, Riara, as we mentioned before, who had been brought in presumably as cover for the fact that we are rapidly losing wrestlers, she then went out with a bout of influenza, and then almost knocked herself out during the Korakuen Hall show when she got smacked in the face with her own champagne bottle, and ended up bleeding hard way. But yeah, again, it's another injury on top of everything else. When you think about Komomo Minami, Nagisa Takebana, you've now got Kouki Amarei, Hummingbird, Riara is back, which is great, but there's so many injuries that Marigold are suffering, and for a fledgling company, which Marigold still are, they are less than a year old. You haven't got the world's biggest roster. To then have these injuries on top of it is so bad. It's so bad for them. And we are getting rookies coming through. One of the MVPs of this entire run of shows for me was Naho Yamada, who I think has been just a tremendous breath of fresh air in that undercard. Rhea Seto, I think, has done a really good job as well. But it feels like at the moment they are trying to bail water out of a sinking ship with a bucket, because every time they bring someone back, someone else gets injured. But yes, positives. It looks like Riara is, if not a full-time member of Marigold at the moment, it does look like she's going to be parachuted into more shows. We'll talk a little bit more about that on Wednesday when we talk about Korakuen. But obviously we wish, as we've unfortunately said quite a few times over the last couple of episodes, we wish Hummingbird nothing but the best. Fingers crossed it's not a serious injury and it's just a tweak, and we can get her back as soon as she's fit and healthy. But yeah, talk about rotten luck, Matt. Again, like I said on the last podcast, who the hell broke that mirror in Marigold dressing room? Good grief.
It reminds me of like the end of summer 2023 for Stardom, where it was just like, it was Natsupoi, it was Tan, it was Utami,
it was every time we opened Twitter.
Yeah, it really was. It got to the point where it's like, is it us? Like, maybe if we shut down Twitter, no one will get injured. And all these matches from the 5-star just kept going. We were fine. We still to this day never got that Julia versus Utami match. And like, we're going to get on the final night of the 2023 5-star Grand Prix, and then we heard that Utami's hurt, and then we're like, well, at least on the final night we get Starlight Kid versus Mayu, and then like the day before, like Starlight Kid not cleared because of the ankle. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and it's just crazy just how many injuries that there are going in through Marigold right now. And I know that we don't have Kazuna Tanaka. She's still out with the back injury. I don't think they announced a return date for her yet, did they?
No, she was on Japanese commentary during the Korakuen Hall show.
Right,
I don't think she was there for the entire time, but she was definitely there, I think, for the main event. And I know that they asked her, and she's really eager to come back. But I don't think a concrete date was given. But yeah, obviously, again, there's a fine line between wanting to get people back in the ring and waiting until they are fit and healthy, because we've seen it so many times. Again, you mentioned Saki Kashima, and that was the perfect example, rushing people back before they're fit.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I guess Marigold could do, and again, I'm in no position to tell Marigold, especially Rossi Ogawa, how to book his talent, is just, you're depleted on the talent because of injuries. Just give longer matches. Just have longer matches. Have Utami wrestle 20 minutes. Obviously you Rhea Seto, and we're gonna talk about her. She's improved so much, not only her look, but in her in ring. You mentioned Naho Yamada. Like whenever I think of wrestling is fun. Naho Yamada is fun. Give them longer matches. I'm not saying like in singles match, but like with a Mirai or my Sakurai or Utami or Miko Ano that we know that can carry those longer matches. Like just put them in longer matches. And this way, give them more time in the ring. That's basically like how I would go about it instead of, and we don't know if they're trying to rush talent back, but it did seem like that Kazuna Tanaka was rushed back and then went back out with an injury. So yeah, again, we wish everybody, not just in Marigold, but just in pro wrestling, just a healthy recovery. Again, that's why I say it's the best sport in the world, and anybody that steps in a pro wrestling ring, they deserve our ultimate respect for. I know we live in an era, especially in social media, that we want to be critical of everybody and anyone, but you don't realize that these wrestlers are putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment, and we don't even know. I mean, we just mentioned a whole bunch of wrestlers that are out with injury. We don't know how many wrestlers on this roster or the Stardom roster or the AEW roster or the New Japan roster are wrestling with banged up injuries, just trying to go through to try to keep business together. So again, that's why pro wrestlers, they deserve, male, female, regardless of gender, they deserve our ultimate respect because like I said, they are literally putting their bodies on the line for our entertainment. So whenever you think about putting out that negative tweet on somebody because you don't like their hairstyle, just relax a little, folks. Just relax a little.
Why you was tweeting about my hairstyle? Yeah,
Yours?
obviously Kazuna Tanaka is the big one, obviously from Marigold. But again, it's immediately there was people saying, "Oh, Marigold have rushed her back. Marigold have rushed her back," and we don't know if that is the case, but there is a very large possibility. And again, you've only got to look at Kazuna Tanaka's tweets about how desperate she is to get back in the ring. Wrestlers are notorious for, wrestling through injuries and, going, actually, I'm not that bad. We've seen it time and time and time again. And there is almost certainly an element of that. I want to go back. I don't want to miss time. So, we don't know the whole story. And again, the only problem is you mentioned, having longer matches because you are only going to have less matches on a card because of the injuries. The only problem that you have then is if you are asking the wrestlers to put more strain on their bodies, you're then running the risk of more injury. So it is a catch-22. And, this is one of those reasons you said you'd never be a wrestling booker. And I think that this is one of those moments because you want to give fans who've spent their money, you want to give them the best possible show. And okay, so we're only going to be able to have 4 matches on this card tonight because we've got injuries. So we're going to have Mirai and Utami and my Sakurai. We're going to have them all wrestle 30 minutes, and we're going to have them do that 3 nights in a row. You're then running the risk of another injury before you've got anyone back. So again, it's a tricky situation. We saw it with Stardom. They managed to get through. Of course, Stardom had a significantly deeper roster than Marigold have. Just fingers crossed everyone is okay. That's the main thing. That everyone 100%. Is okay, that everyone comes back fit, healthy, and when they are ready. Moving on then to a bit of Stardom news just before we get into the 3 shows we are going to cover today. And we're going to start with the Stardom Award 2024 show in Takadanobaba, which is the venue I can never pronounce properly. I've just decided to go whole hog with that's how I'm going to say it. And if it's wrong, I'm really sorry. I've been trying for 3 years and I still can't say it. So yeah,
again.
exactly. Belsal Takadanobaba is going to be the venue as it was last year, I believe the year before as well, for the Stardom Award 2024 show, January 25th. So this coming Saturday, where they will be giving out awards for MVP, Shining Award, which is the fan voted award, best match, all those sorts of things. We'll cover that next week on the Stardom, where we will also be giving the Stardom Cast Awards 2024, the most prestigious Stardom Awards that are given out on this podcast. But 3 matches have been made official for that show so far. The Future of Stardom Championship match, which we have already talked about. Miyu Amasaki defending against Azusa Inaba in Miyu Amasaki's second defense of that Future of Stardom title. We've also got the full in-ring debuts of both new rookies, Yuria and Akira. They will both be making their debuts after confirming that in Osaka on the 18th of January. Akira will be facing Suzu Suzuki and Yuria will be facing Maika. They will also have another public sparring session before the New Year Unit League finals on the 23rd of January in Shinkiba. So we will get another chance to see them spar before we see them debut. Matt, obviously, we've seen a little bit from the rookies so far. Nothing full-blooded, but we've seen a lot of heart. We've seen a lot of passion from them both, certainly. It's a little bit of trial by fire, isn't it? It does sort of remind me of Ryoko Sakamura. And do you know what? Do you know who I want to debut against? Nanae Takahashi. Okay, sure. But Akira and Suzu Suzuki, Yuria and Maika. Obviously, Maika has been a referee before in their sparring sessions, I believe at Korakuen. So obviously they're familiar with Maika. I'm surprised one of them isn't facing Syuri, but again, Suzu Suzuki versus Akira is it's going to be a good match. I'm excited to see what these two women can do in a full competitive setting.
Yeah, you're right. Trial by fire is right. I mean, you went
Absolutely.
from the frying pan right to the fryer because you were literally wrestling the last two winners of the 5-star Grand Prix in Mike and Suzu Suzuki. But at the same time, I say it all the time, every week, and I will say it every week that I have a microphone in front of me. When it comes to pro wrestling, when you're a rookie or you're younger, the only way to get better is wrestle wrestlers that are better than you. Mm-hmm. Maika was one of the MVPs of Stardom last year. Suzu Suzuki is on top of the world, just doing great business, and she's going to be in the main event of the next Kouki Hall show on February 2nd that we expect to have a big turnout for. So you're in the ring with two main eventers. Obviously, it's Mike and Suzu will give them a little. We know that. We also know that they're going to be eating the L's. That's for sure. Yeah.
Imagine Suzu Suzuki. She goes for the World of Stardom Championship a week later and gets rolled up by a debuting rookie. Imagine the momentum kill that would be.
How funny would it be? It looks like Maika, like Anka, Toshi, STO, Susanka, and then she's going for the Michinoku driver and she's calling for it. Everyone's like, yeah, Maika. And the rookie slips behind her, hits her with the Michinoku driver, puts the finger on her, or Undertaker style, 1, 2, 3. They cart Maika out. Like,
imagine the reaction.
Like, what? Yeah, shock value. But no, in all seriousness, they're going to be good because, again, look at the rookies that Stardom has produced over the last few years with the Miyu Amasakis, with the Hanakos, Victoria Yuzuki, who's obviously part of Marigold now, gang sign throwing Rianne with the long hair. She's fantastic. Matoy, she's terrific. These two rookies from the spirited sparring session, as you said, that we've seen the two of them involved and have been really well. And again, it seems like Maika, Shuri, Hanan, I believe, Hazuki, Mayu, those are all wrestlers that are probably overseeing their training. Not only that, when you oversee their training, in the dojo, that you have the ability to pick the brain of those wrestlers. Not only that, but they're also seconding in matches. So they're literally sitting there watching the Mayus, the Hazukis, the Saidas, the Hanas. I mean, that loaded roster. And again, just coming from my own experience when I was in the Ring of Honor dojo and I'm seconding CM Punk for a lot of these matches that he's having with Samoa Joe, that he's tagging with Steve Corino, which was Corino would just do anything to try to get us to pop as the seconds because Corino's just just the best. And they're in the ring, you're watching matches with Roderick Strong and Alex Shelley and Christopher Daniels that you're literally not just front row, you're literally right there at ringside and you're watching everything happen. Then afterwards, you ask questions or they'll tell you certain things. So again, it's one thing when you were trained by the local guy down at the firehouse that had a dark match on WWF TV back in 1986. It's another thing when you're literally have your training overseen by Mayu, Azumi. Again, this loaded roster. There's a reason why these rookies are propelling at a rapid rate, not just in Stardom, but Marigold as well. But that it's because you're in there with the best of the best. And you're able to ask questions from the brightest minds of wrestling, past, present, and future. So I'm excited for the debuts. Again, Maika, Suzu Suzuki, good luck, ladies. I will put you on my prayer list for next week.
Absolutely.
But I'm looking forward to it. Again, it's fresh, new talent coming into the Stardom roster. It's going to be interesting to see what factions that they go to over the next 6-7 months, because Matoi, who's only been wrestling a handful of months, it already seems like there's a tug of war for her services. So yeah, it can be really, really interesting to see how they do, how they develop, and then maybe by the summer or end of this year, what Stardom faction they go to, or even what the factions are going to look like. So yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got a lot of stacked rosters now in those factions. I mean, even God's Eye, who we said was crying out for new blood, especially after having their proverbial asses handed to them on a weekly basis, it seemed by, hey, they've just brought in Kyoko Kotatsu. They've got Amisori to come back as well, who I'm hoping won't be too far away from returning, so then you could potentially bring one of those into there. You've got 5 members of Neo Genesis, would one of them fit into Neo Genesis? Again, until we've seen them in a competitive setting, we don't know. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what they can bring, though. Also, 9th of February 2025 is a date you need to put in your calendar, because in Shinjuku Face, Fukuoka Double Crazy, Hazuki, and Koguma will be defending their Oz Academy Tag Team Championships. If you remember, they won them back on the 30th of December, ending the 232-day run of H2D, which is the team of Ryo Mizunami and Sonoko Kato. They'll be defending them against a brand new team, apparently going by the name of Phantom Limit. Akino and Kohaku are the new challengers. The show, which is subtitled Angels of the Abyss, which might be the greatest show name I've ever... Is it a wrestling show or is it a Slayer album? I feel like if you have to play that game, it's a good show name. It will also have Kaori Yoneyama and Shiori Ano on the card. Kaori Yoneyama, by the way, will be teaming with Ram Kaichao and Momoka Hanazono against Zone's Hiroya Matsumoto and Rina Yamashita. So it's a decent 6-woman, that, to be fair. I'd happily tune in for that. But yes, that is going to be a very, very, very good match. FWC versus Akino and Kohaku, Matt.
Yeah, obviously a big fan of Kohaku. I thought that she, very much like a lot of teams in the Goddess tournament, really just blew me out of the water, just how talented she is. And again, I hopefully she's somebody we see a lot more in Stardom, especially teaming with May Sarah, because she just fit in really well. Even with the whole God's Eye, Neo Genesis, she just fits in perfectly as their 6th member. And considering the fact that it's Ozzy Osbourne Academy Wrestling and the name of the show is it sounds like a Slayer Return album, I'm all for it, my friend. I'm all for it. And the fact that you have the heaviest hitter in Hazuki in these matches, I'm good to go, my man. I'm good to go. And again, kudos to Stardom World, because just when I was trying to navigate, because they released 3 shows back to back over this last week. They put up the Sendai Girls shows, the Oz Academy shows, Sai Kamatani's Pro Wrestling Wave match, I think with Kohaku. I didn't get a chance to watch them just yet, maybe later today. But it's just like, again, kudos to Stardom World. Not only is it in the dollar in the United States keeps growing as the yen kind of keeps falling. So right now it's less than $6 to subscribe to Stardom World, which is in the same thing for Wrestle Universe. It gets cheaper and cheaper to subscribe to Wrestle Universe. So again, why you're not watching the best Joshi wrestling in the world for literally pennies of a day, I don't know. But kudos to Stardom World, because not only are we getting the great Stardom action that we get, but we're getting the Stardom wrestlers over in Sendai Girls, over at Oz Academy, over at Diana, and over at Pro Wrestling Wave as well. So yeah, that's great, because it's just like, it's all right there. It's all right there. But yeah, exciting stuff. And again, I like how these Stardom wrestlers are going to wrestling for other companies, because they're bringing more eyes over to them individually and as a company. Smart business. Smart business.
Absolutely. And we've seen, obviously, yesterday as we record, Hanan was wrestling on Diana against Nanami. So again, having those Stardom wrestlers able to go out and try new things and, be in different spotlights, I think is a huge thing. You're absolutely right. Between Stardom World and Wrestle Universe, 2 fantastic streaming sites. And, Stardom World's a fantastic service, but Wrestle Universe, you think about what you get on that service for the admittedly paltry price that you pay. It almost feels like you're stealing it, which, again, we are very, very thankful that is a service that we have. Right, let's talk about the 3 shows we are going to look at today. We're going to start in the 176 box Osaka for the New Year Golden Garden Night 1. And again, I am just going to say the New Year Golden Garden might be one of my favorite tour names. It's a really, really cool name. But yes, this show, the 11th of January 2025, that was a Saturday. The show aired from the 176 box in Osaka. The attendance was 315. It's not the lowest attendance that Marigold have drawn to the venue. That was 285, back in October 2024. It is still an 11.5% drop from the last time they ran there, though, when they drew 356 people at the start of December. Looking at the results then, we started with a singles match, Hummingbird defeating Ryoko Satomura in 7 minutes. Flying Penguin defeated Minami Yuki with a diving body press in 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Tag team action, the Dark Wolf Army, Nagisa Nozaki and Chiaki defeated Nao Ishikawa and Ria Seto. Chiaki pinning Ria Seto with the Northern Lights suplex in 7 minutes and 21 seconds. Tag team match, Mirai Saku, Mai Sakurai and Mirai defeated Natsumi Shozuki and Naho Yamada, with Mai Sakurai submitting Yamada with the STK in 9 minutes and 53 seconds in what was a really, really good match. 6-woman tag team semi-main event, the team of Bozilla, Tank and Megaton defeated Utami Hayashishita, Victoria Yuzuki and Misa Matsui, with Tank pinning Misa Matsui with the spear in 10 minutes and 50 seconds. And then in your main event tag team action, the team of Nanae Takahashi and Seri Naoka defeated Miku Ano and Chika Goto. Nanae Takahashi pinning Gochika with the sliding D in 21 minutes and 12 seconds. So, Matt, let's start at the beginning because, as they say in The Sound of Music, it is a very good place to start. Hummingbird and Ryoko Satomura. Obviously, I feel like Satomura is taking on a little bit more of the workload in the absence of Takibana. How do you think she's fared in these matches over these 3 shows? Because I think she's done really well.
Yeah, and I made mention maybe about 2 months ago how much I enjoying Hummingbird, and she belongs in that the super flyweight high speed style division. And Ryoko Satomura, she holds up here. She does like the high speed super fly division style very well here with Hummingbird. So again, that style is very hard to do. Maybe that's where we insert her in her young career. I thought she's been really good. Again, for somebody who's only had a handful of matches, she definitely wrestles like she's a 3 or 4 year vet, which is a credit to her work.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe on the Corkin show, just from this past weekend, the Corkin show, which she debuted, that Sonny and Stu Fulton did a great job saying that she's been in the dojo pretty much since day one. So she's been training for like 7 to 8 months. So she's pretty much, I mean, obviously you're the best way for you to get ready for pro wrestling or any sport or anything really in life, you just go and do it. You know, you can only study for the test so many times before eventually you take the test. So obviously she was well prepared for her pro wrestling debut. For someone that's only had a handful of matches, she looks really, really good. And again, Hummingbird, we know she's out a little bit with an injury. But I thought this match was a good way to start. Obviously, you want to start your matches off with a solid match. Sometimes putting a rookie in her only first handful of matches on your first match is a gamble because you don't know how the crowd's going to react to somebody that they've never seen before. However, for the 7 minutes this was in the ring, it made sense. It didn't outstay its welcome. I thought these two worked really well together. I had it at 3.25 stars. I thought it was good. And then, like I said, Ryoko's somebody that on this new crop of rookies, not only in Marigold, but just in, Stardom and Sendai Girls and all the other companies that we've been watching, is somebody that I've been really impressed with. And I'm excited to see where she's going to be in a year from now.
Yeah, something that I do like about Ryoko is that she's got the emotion down. It doesn't feel like you are sort of walking through steps. It doesn't feel like you're memorizing lines for a play. You are, it does feel like she's very not integrated into the match. She feels the match. She's sort of picking up on those little nuances. Of course, she's got places that she can improve. She has had 5 matches on the Marigold shows. Of course, she can improve in certain places, but I think for the amount that she's wrestled, she's done very well. Obviously, devastating to hear that Hummingbird is going to be out again. As soon as we know how long that is, we'll report it on TalkJoshi.com. But again, I think for an opening match of the show, I think this did everything you could possibly want it to do. Speaking of people who we are impressed with their progress, let's talk about Manami Yuki, because since winning the Rookie of the Year award, which again, I don't know whether she was always going to win that or whether maybe Komomo Minami was going to win it before her injury. I don't know. But I feel like she is someone who has really, really stepped up her game in the last couple of shows. And actually, the Korakuen that we're going to talk about on Wednesday, Sonny made a very good point. You know, we talked about the strikes of Manami Yuki, and we've talked a couple of times about the strikes of Manami Yuki and how they aren't very impactful. And again, you know, she needed someone to take her aside potentially in the dojo and just say, right, hurt someone. Just, you know, really throw
we
it.
don't want anybody else get hurt. Relax.
No,
Kayfabe, brother. Kayfabe hurts someone. Kayfabe hurts someone.
But, you know, throw with some real menace. And you can see that this is something that she's really improved on. And genuinely, she is becoming very, very, very solid in the ring. And we saw it, you know, in that Korakuen Hall match, but we saw it here as well against Flying Penguin.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Her very much like a Rhea Seto, and Komomo Minami is really starting to up their game quite a bit. And I like how she uses that hammerlock guillotine choke as her big finisher. So we already know that she's got the submission finisher. She just needs maybe like that big impactful finisher, like a brain buster or a pile driver or something like that. But again, she's somebody that is very young into her career. But the timing down. Again, not only does she have a really cool finisher, she knows how to work it. She knows how to build it up. And again, we'll talk about it when we record later this week. The way that they teased that and Chikagoto's a giant swing, I thought they worked really well together. I was like, these two have a really good pairing. I would love to see these two be quote unquote internal foes, like we see a lot with Joshi wrestlers. But yeah, this match was good. It was, you know, solid enough. It did what it needed to do. You're kind of just coming off a really good opener as you're trying to build towards the crowd. And then again, Flying Penguin is somebody that we've only seen a handful of times over her Marigold. I wouldn't be shocked to see her in a lot more shows in the next upcoming weeks, just because of, you know, all the injuries, and her style does work well with these rookies. I would love to see something with her and Rhea Seto or now Ishikawa in some sort of tag match. But yeah, solid enough stuff. But you're right, partner. The improvement of Manami Yuki, it's right in front of our eyes. And the best thing about it, she's only going to get better and better and better.
Absolutely. Completely agree. You mentioned both of these women, Rhea Seto and Nao Ishikawa. Rhea Seto in particular is someone I've been so impressed with. She debuted at Summer Destiny, and there was obviously that very strange finish where I think sort of either there was miscommunication or something wasn't quite right. And for a little bit of time, it felt like she was almost quite nervous in the ring. And honestly, the last couple of shows, she's upped her submission game significantly. Like, she gets into some of those holds so smoothly, transitions so beautifully. And honestly, she's been a joy to watch. And it's this sort of progress from a young company that I really do enjoy in Marigold. It's people like, you know, we know what we're getting from Utami. We know what we're getting from Mirai. And now we know what we're getting from Mai Sakurai. You know, again, fantastic improvement. But it's watching the journey of people like Nao Ishikawa, Rhea Seto, Naho Yamada, who we're going to be full of praise for later, and Minami Yuki, you know, Komomo Minami before her injury, that it's been a joy to watch them improve and, you know, watch them as they go through these reps that you mentioned and are putting into practice these things that they're learning, because that submission that Rhea Seto gets in here, the roll through is so smooth.
Yeah. Again, what have I been calling her the past few weeks on the show? She reminds me of the American Dragon in Ring of Honor, the American Dragon, Rhea Seto. She got the new gear, the gloves. She looks like a badass.
Yeah, she does.
I may, as again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing this awesome graphic here. I may want to cut those bangs just because I don't know how she's seeing with the hair in front of her eyes. But again, look where my hair is. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Just that new look. It really seemed like her new look just happened to coincide right around the time that she really started to improve, especially her submission game. So it's just like new Rhea Seto, new look, new submission skills, boom, a completely different package, but still the same base wrestler that we saw debut a handful of months ago. And everybody loves Naho Ishikawa. Again, she may not be everybody's favorite wrestler, but she's a wrestler that everybody likes, where it's just like some people, oh, that's my favorite wrestler. And then some people like, I don't care for that person that much. Or like Naho Ishikawa is somebody that everybody loves and somebody that's gaining a lot of traction. The Dark Wolf Army, the best heel team in Marigold, still scratching my head why they took the belts off them so soon. And then again, we'll get into it later this week. We got a lot of hot potatoing going on with these tag belts, and I'm kind of scratching my head. But I like heel tag teams when you're beating on underdog baby faces. Again, Naho Ishikawa, Rhea Seto, they're the younger talent and they're the underneath baby faces, especially Naho Ishikawa. She fires up a comeback like no other. We've seen it on Bozilla all the time. Unfortunately, that comeback really doesn't work because it's Bozilla. But regardless, God bless her. You just want to get behind her. You're like, come on, yeah, get her. And I think just the Dark Wolf Army being the pure heels here, and now Ishikawa being the underneath babyface, it worked really well. I wish this match went a little bit longer, less than 8 minutes to tell their story. It was good enough. It was good enough for what was out there. I had it at 3.25 stars. But I just think that the Dark Wolf Army, considering the fact that we just got them hot, we just got them the tag championships, and then all of a sudden we're hot potatoing it. I wish I would have seen them, and maybe it'll go back to them. Maybe that's just the end game. Is kind of maybe we're kind of pinballing the belts, and then we get back on the heel tag team to draw money and to start, as tag team champions. Because I think now, Nagisa Nozaki and Chiaki, they work so well together, and they've kind of been the only pair since the start of Marigold that have been together pretty much since day one. Because they have the same style of kind of bending and breaking the rules to get the advantage, and it works. Again, 3.25 stars. I wish it would have went a little bit longer because of how much I love all four of these wrestlers and these two teams. But just to kind of just go back to what you said, partner, 2 minutes ago, yeah, Rhea Seto is one that anytime that her match starts, obviously she's not Utami. She's not, who is? She's not at the level of Mai Sakurai. She's not the level of Amarei. Wouldn't be shocked if she's there relatively close. And again, we always plan it. We're always looking at tournament season because before we know it, buddy, we're in there. And we're in there a long time. We're in there long days. A long time. I'm looking at Rhea Seto for somebody to really, to be in the Dream Star this year. Now, I don't expect her to win or block or anything, but I expect her to have the longer matches with the Marais, with the Utamis, if they bring Sari back in, because I just think that she's improving so much, and who knows what she's going to look like in the next 6 or 7 months, especially if she gets those shots against the main event talent in the Dream Star.
It's not necessarily about winning it, though. It's not even necessarily about winning a match at all. We've seen plenty of wrestlers who've gone through tournaments and picked maybe one win, but their stock has been significantly raised by the way that they've lost, by the people that they've lost to, and, the resilience and stuff they've done. Kazumi Tanaka, for example, in last year's Dream Star, did she get 2 points, maybe 4? I can't remember off the top of my head. But, it wasn't about that. It was about the way that she was wrestling, the fight that she was putting up. And, full of love for Naho Ishikawa and have been for ages. But genuinely, I'm going to put a word in for Chiaki because she's someone that I feel, and I am 100% guilty of this, underestimating her. Sure. She just goes about her business, does it solidly without fail, week in, week out. Even her singles match with Sakimura at the Korakuen Hall show, she was so solid in that match. And genuinely, if where I think we are going with the white belt is a Chiaki white belt shot at Mai Sakurai, do you know what? I think she's earned it. I do think she's earned it. And I think if she's given the opportunity, yes, of course, there's going to be heel bending. They're the Dark Wolf Army. But I think giving her that opportunity is going to be, it's going to be great for her. It really is. And again, she's another one. 2 points in the Dream Star Grand Prix. But again, she was solid. And I think she does what she needs to do. I think she's often overshadowed by Nagisa Nozaki because Nagisa Nozaki is the more dominant force. She's the more recognizable wrestler, and she's had more opportunities in Marigold. But I think Chiaki is extremely underestimated. And yeah, I think she's been brilliant. And again, I was the person at the start who said she needs to find her identity. She has done, and she's leaning into it. And I absolutely love that. Moving on to what was an absolutely great match. Thoroughly enjoyed this, especially the team that they seem to be developing between Natsumi Shizuki and Naho Yamada. But Mirai Saku versus Shizuki and Yamada. I'm going to save my praise for Yamada to night 2, simply because she was parachuted into the main event, wasn't supposed to be in there, and then almost damn near stole the match. So, but yeah, everybody else in this match, like, I mean, come on. We've got 3 of the best in-ring competitors in the entire company in this. And Naho Yamada, who is, again, someone we're massively high on. I'd be amazed if you didn't enjoy this, Matt.
This is my favorite match of the show.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
This was great. And again, the match starts, and you can kind of know that Naho Yamada is eating the fall here. But that by no means takes away from my enjoyment of this match. Again, Natsumi Shizuki, she's fantastic. Obviously, Mirai Sakurai, former Twin Star champions, the winner of the first Twin Star Cup. They work really well together. Mai Sakurai is now in a different light because she's, holding the second biggest belt in the company. Mirai, we know it's only a matter of time before she wins the white belt, red belt, the Dream Star. She's right there. Again, it's not something that you want to rush just yet because she's terrific. Everybody worked well together. Again, Naho Yamada and Natsumi Shizuki worked really well together. And again, for somebody who loves tag team wrestling, especially the way the Joshi tag team scene has been over the last 2 years, I'm always looking at what teams are going to go and surprise me or be really, really teams to look out for. And at the end of this match, I was like, man, if they team Natsumi Shizuki and Naho Yamada up and give them a run, I'll be all for it. And then on the Corkin show, they reteamed up Miko Ano and Natsumi Shizuki, which, again, we'll get into next week, folks. We keep giving you little bits of little teases for the show we're going to be doing in just a couple of days. But that just goes to show you what a great wrestler Natsumi Shizuki is. She's Superfly champion, had a great run. The Dream Star Grand Prix is somebody that we can definitely see having a run at the United National Championship. And the fact that she teams up so well, not only with Miko Ano, but with a young Naho Yamada, just goes to show you just how talented wrestler she is. And again, Naho Yamada is somebody that when I see her on my screen, especially when she's singing, they need to let her sing. And I get it. Everybody else that she teams with 9 times out of 10 is a main eventer. So she doesn't get to sing. She should be singing everybody's theme. We made mention about a month or two ago. We made about 2 months ago when she came out with Miko Ano that she needs to be singing Miko Ano's theme. That's just printing money. But it's just because it's endearing to the crowd because she's singing and she's just looking at, and when she's singing, she's going around all 4 corners, sometimes twice. So she's getting that reaction. So she's getting reaction before she even gets into the ring. And again, I don't speak Japanese, but I don't know what she's saying, but I'm all for it. And as good as her singing is, whether you agree or disagree with me, that's up to you. Her wrestling's even better, which I know people will agree with me on that because she's a fantastic wrestler and a fantastic, again, she's kind of the underneath middle card. So when she's in the ring with these 2 main eventers in Mai Sakurai, she's the underneath talent, but Mai Sakurai do a great job building her up where she looks like a threat in this match. But ultimately, it's the United National Champion, or as you call it, the un-champion, getting
untitled match came up again at Corrigan.
Yeah,
the untitled.
I was watching it an hour before we were getting ready to record, and I was like, wait, what? I'm like, oh, no, I can't make that mistake. But again, ultimately, all these wrestlers are terrific. I'm so excited to see what Natsumi Shizuki is going to do because now she's not the Superfly champion. I wouldn't mind if she gets a second crack at that belt, but regardless, I think they need to build her up. I think with like maybe the proper like 2-3 month build or her and Utami match in Corkin Hall, I think would do really good business for Marigold. Again, my favorite match of this show, 3 3/4 stars for me. My only one little negative, buddy. I'm gonna say it. You're gonna agree with me. Less than 10 minutes. I wish this one went I wish it went 14, 15 minutes, my friend. But regardless, what they did with that 10 minutes was genius because you have 4 just fantastic wrestlers. And again, I cannot echo the sentiments. Naho Yamada, considering the fact 3-4 months ago, I had no idea who she was. And she's one of the most entertaining wrestlers that I get to watch on my wrestling screen.
I think it's just the passion is infectious. Like, obviously, it helps that she's really good in ring, and she is going to be very, very good in Marigold. She's going to be. I can see her as an unchampion, definitely. Whether it's a red belt champion, I don't know. It depends on her development, but I can definitely see her being an unchampion. Natsumi Shozuki's a weird one because obviously she was synonymous with this belt for 170 days, something like that. And where do you go with her now? She's sort of been cycled down the card a little bit, as sort of cool her off before you do something else with her, which you do with champions. When we spoke about this, I would love to see her and Miko make a run for those twin star titles. And I think they should win them and go on a massive run with them. Maybe it's them who become the 5th twin star champions or something like that. I think that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a lot of hot potatoing, but again, we will get into it when we record the Korakuen review. They need to stop hot potatoing it. Just put the belts on Miko Ano, not Natsumi Shozuki. I'm with you. And then have Naho Yamada as like their 3rd. Basically, how the Dark Wolf Army had 3 people. Now they don't, and now Bozilla has her own faction. Now they don't. I don't know, but regardless, I think Naho Yamada would fit in really well with Miko Ano, not Natsumi Shozuki. And again, she'll learn. She's going to learn from them.
Absolutely. Moving on then to the semi-main event, which was the 6-woman tag. Team Tank versus Team Utami, Victoria Yuzuki, and Misa Matsui. Matt, what did you think of this? Obviously, I know we had Tank challenging for the red belt in a couple of shows' time. This was our first chance to see Megaton, who, come on, we weren't expecting her to be Mayu Iwatani in the ring. She seems to be the Fukigen Death character of Marigold.
Yeah, so it seems, and again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I love how in this graphic Utami is giving everybody the side eye on the heel tag team. I like that.
It's very well done.
Obviously, the crux of this match is to build towards Utami and Tank for the show coming up in 2 days, and that's the idea. Bozilla is the glue that holds us together because obviously Megaton is the comedic character, I guess. I think you said it right. She's the Fukigen Death of Marigold.
Yeah, definitely.
Tank is still somebody that is very green, but somebody that is really upped her stock over and just from match 1 to match 4 or 5, which is a credit to Utami. But obviously, Bozilla is the person that holds this together as far as a work rate goes, only to give Tank her just due when it needs to happen. Obviously, Victoria Yuzuki, she's fantastic. And Misa Matsui, I tell you what, she's just, and again, I just finished watching that Korakuen show. Her and Mirai versus Miko Ano and Natsumi Shozuki absolutely stole the show. Just absolutely stole the show. And this team works well together. We know that Yuzuki and Utami, they work well together because of their time in Stardom. And again, Yuzuki was trained in the Stardom dojo, and I have a feeling that Utami had something to do with her training, or at least helping out. So, they have a really good relationship. We've seen them team up in Marigold quite a bit on these quote-unquote Wrestle Universe shows over the past 6-7 months in 6-person tag or 8-person tag, and they work really well together. And again, Misa Matsui, she's been a solid mid-carder for, quite some time in Marigold, but now she's somebody that they can really start to propel towards that main event scene. I would love to see her and Mai Sakurai with the proper build for that championship, the United National Championship. Yeah, but ultimately this was just, getting Tank over to make her look like a legit threat versus Utami, which nobody didn't think she was going to win the championship, but that's not the point. The point is to make it look like she's a threat. Job well done. Everybody played their role really well. I had this one at 3.5 stars, sir.
Yeah, Misa Matsui, such a good wrestler, so good. The way she challenges Victoria Yuzuki, spoilers, for the belt made her feel very legitimate as a threat. I'm intrigued by how they do that. I've got a sneaking suspicion I know what they're going to do there, and I'm not opposed to it, to be perfectly honest.
I know what they're going to do. They have a great wrestling match, Rob, and we're going to podcast about it, and we're going to love it. So, boom, there you go. See, spoilers, folks.
There you go. All of the spoilers. But Misa Matsui is someone who I would like to see go, not necessarily deep in the Dream Star. I'm not necessarily saying she should be there at the end of the night, at the end of the tournament, sort of on that final night. But someone who should be picking up key victories, certainly, because she's so good. She's so charismatic. She's so over with the crowd as well. People love Misa Matsui, and she's so good in the ring. Everything she does, she wrestles at such a ridiculous pace. She's very similar, not just because she's very quick, but she's very similar to Mei Seira, where she wrestles at such a phenomenal pace. You'd assume that there'd be mistakes, there'd be slip-ups, there'd be all sorts. But Misa Matsui just doesn't seem to. She seems to wrestle at this ridiculous pace, and just everything is so smooth. Like, I remember one match, and I think it was during the Dreamstar, where her kick pad just would not stay up. I don't know whether the elastic had gone or whether the buckle had come off. Don't know what it was, but it was not staying in place. It was going down a leg and didn't miss a beat. Did not miss a beat. And she ended up with 2 points, I think, over the entire tournament. And every match, I think he was either first or second on the card. And they were always one of the best matches on the card. She's a phenomenal wrestler. And I hope she does get the flowers she deserves. Again, she's another one who, yes, absolutely. For the next year, 2 years, she's probably going to be one of the linchpins of the Superfly division whilst you establish it. And I understand that entirely. You know, we've seen it with Azumi, we've seen it with Starlight Kid, we're now seeing it with Mei Seira. I am all for that, but I am so on the Misa Matsui white belt train. It's unreal. She deserves the praise because she's so good. And I think that she deserves an accolade that isn't just the Superfly talent. I don't mean just the Superfly talent in a disparaging way. I realize how that's come out. But, you know, I want to see her with one of those two main belts because I do feel like she deserves them. She deserves that shot, and she would put on phenomenal matches. So it's nice to see that she is getting a bit more focus post Korakuen Hall. Moving on then to your main event, Nanae Takahashi and Seri Yamaoka and Miko Ano and Chika Goto. There's a couple of things I enjoyed about this match. So obviously, Seri Yamaoka, this is her second professional wrestling match, which boggles the mind, really, when you consider what she is able to do with limited wrestling experience. And when I say limited wrestling experience, I mean like professional wrestling experience. You know, we know how good she is, her amateur credentials, you know, and she is 17. But, you know, even so, the little bits that she did here, really, really, really good. I am enjoying the story between her and Nanae. And I know it's something we are going to talk about, Korakuen, probably in depth. But I love the fact that Seri Yamaoka views Nanae in such reverence that she's putting her own career on hold in order to make sure that Nanae gets this last run before she retires. It's such a lovely storyline. It gets Seri Yamaoka over as this such endearing babyface. Obviously, Nanae Takahashi is a Joshi legend. We've seen her do some of her best work in years in Marigold, and it's a really nice storyline. They team really well. I think as a team, they've gelled very, very well, very, very quickly. And you know what? I'm happy that Chika Goto's in the main event. I think she did really well here. We talked, and again, this was brought up on the Korakuen Hall commentary about her stamina, and I think that's something that she's been acutely aware of because it's something that she's improved on massively.
Yeah, real quick, Rob, I just want to get this out before I forget, but about an hour before we recorded, Miko Ano tweeted a picture out of her and her cat.
I did see this.
And then I retweeted a picture of me and my cat, and I'm like, our cats look the same. So how about that? Another reason why I love me some Miko Ano, because we almost have pretty much the same cat. Wonder if her cat is crazy as my AC baby.
Doubt it, mate.
That's a wild cat. But the main reason they had this match together is we know that Nanae and Seri they're going for the Twin Star Championship, and I was shocked that it was actually the main event of the Korakuen show. I was like, "Oh, okay, we're making a statement with this clearly
big statement, yeah,
because we need to see how well they're going to gel together because they have to gel together quick." And the fact that you're in the ring with Chika Goto, who's somebody that is really good, and again, Miko Ano is somebody that is like on that level as far as your number 2 ace behind Mirai, or with Mirai, Mei Sakurai, and whatnot. I mean, it's a good pairing. It's a safe pairing because you're gonna have a great match. They're gonna sell. They're gonna get Seri Yamaoka over. You know that Nanae Takahashi is she's the one that is driving that car as far as putting the match together. The one thing with Nanae, and again, she's at the tail end of her career. she still puts in the time. I mean, this match going over
yeah.
20, this match going over 21 minutes. She's definitely putting in the time. She's not like, put me out there for 7 minutes, kid. I'll hit 2 moves. I'll do this and I'll tag out, whatever. She puts the time in, in the ring, in these tag matches, making sure everybody gets over. The exchanges with her and Miko Anna were terrific. And I hope, and again, we know that we're winding the clock down, and they had a great match at the Dream Star last year. And they went to it went to the TLD. It's kind of one of those ones that flew underneath the radar because of how great some of the matches were that doesn't get enough praise. That I hope we get that singles match. I really do before Nane, calls it a career. And again, we're about 4 months away. But again, main event. Let's see if they're going to gel well together, and they really, really do. And Chika Goto, again, good for her getting the main event here because she was dealt a bad hand at First Dream, and it's not her fault. Accidents happen. She was in a big match. They did a great job building up that match. It was third from the top, and it was like, okay, here's an opportunity for Chika Goto to really show everybody how good she is and how good she can be. Obviously, Kouki Amarei got hurt, and we were never able to see it, but we were able to see it here. Again, Nanae Takahashi does a great job putting, again, I'm assuming she's putting this match together, but putting things into place that make sense. Really fantastic match. And again, we see instant chemistry with Nanae and the young rookie here in Sari Yamaoka. I had this one at 3 3/4 stars. I like this one. The previous tag match that we talked about with Mirai Sakurai, I like that one just a little bit better. But I thought this was great. And again, we're showing that Chika Goto can go in a 20-minute match. We're showing that Sari Yamaoka can go 20 minutes in her second match. Easy for me to say. Ryogoka Kigan. But again, you're showing that she can gel well in this in only her second match, which just goes to show that she is definitely a super rookie.
Yeah, definitely. She's certainly being positioned as a really big commodity for Marigold. We drew those parallels, and I imagine we are not the only people to draw the parallels between the way she has debuted and the way that Utami debuted back in 2018. And I think, there was the Mirai match was really proof that, how excited Marigold have been with Sari Yamaoka, with the build-up that she had to that debut at First Dream. It's been proven here in what she's been able to do in the ring. And again, she's someone who's got better and better and better as the matches have gone on. And again, she is 17 years old. She's got another 20 years in the ring, potentially, obviously, saving injuries, anything like that. And I think that's quite scary when you consider what this woman can achieve when she's so good, so young in her career. So, yeah, excellent, excellent stuff. Let's move on then to the show from KBS Hall, where we will be talking night to Sunday, January the 12th, 2025, inside the beautiful KBS Hall in Kyoto, but you will have to take our word for it because they didn't show the window. What heels? The attendance was 285 people. It's the third time Marigold have run the venue, and it is a 21.3% increase on the last time they ran KBS Hall, which was back in October 2024, where they drew 235 people. So just a reminder, obviously, that Riara had been pulled from this card due to her bout of influenza. And the day before this, Hummingbird was also pulled because of that aforementioned knee injury. This meant a very quick reshuffle of the card. Again, who would be a wrestling booker? However, the card and the final card looked a little something like this. Singles action, we open with Natsumi Shozuki defeated Ryoko Sakamura with a reverse crab hold in 8 minutes and 9 seconds. Another singles match, Now Ishikawa defeated Rhea Seto with a German suplex in 7 minutes and 12 seconds. 6-woman tag, Bozilla, Tank, Megaton defeated Utami Hayashishita, Misa Matsui, and Minami Yuki, with Tank pinning Minami Yuki with a spear in 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Semi-main event, Dark Wolf Army, Nagisa Nozaki and Chiaki. They defeated Mai Sakurai and Chikagoto, with Nagisa Nozaki pinning Chikagoto with a single leg crab hold. And then in your main event, Nanae Takahashi, Victoria Yuzuki, and Seri Yamaoka defeated the team of Mirai, Miku Ono, and Naho Yamada. Nanae Takahashi picking up another victory with that sliding D in 17 minutes and 37 seconds. We'll start with the opener then, Matt. Natsumi Shozuki versus Ryoko Sakimura. Obviously, back-to-back singles matches for the rookie, obviously, in the ring here with a veteran, if you will, of the business. And I think, again, she did really well.
I just want to make sure I unmuted my mic here so you weren't hearing my pages turn. I was like, did I? Oh, anywho, yeah, opening match. She's the first person that people see, and she's in the ring with the former Superfly champion. Again, we made mention that Natsumi Shozuki is somebody that we expect to either go after and or win that United National Championship sometime probably within the next year or so, because she's fantastic. And again, you're only going to learn by being in the ring with better wrestlers. I can see this match, them doing this match in a couple months with a little bit more time. 8 minutes, enough time to tell their story, but at the same time, you don't want to go 11, 12 minutes, because then you don't want to show any Ryoko's, any of her disadvantages, what she's not good at, because obviously, again, she's only had 6, 7 matches, so she'll pick those up. And a great job, Natsumi, riding, she's the one that's driving this train, putting things in the match where they need to be, where they make most sense. I thought this was one of Ryoko's best outings in her young career. And again, this just shows Natsumi Shozuki is somebody that can take a rookie and make them look legit. I had this at 3.5 stars, a really good match to start off this solid show.
Moving on then, Naomi Ishikawa and Ria Seto, obviously teammates the night before. I thought these two, again, showcased why they are two of the most over people on the roster. Let's be perfectly honest. Naomi Ishikawa has been beloved for months now, and Ria Seto, ever since she got her name chanted at that Korakuen Hall show in that match with Utami, I feel like she, as we've mentioned before, has gone from strength to strength to strength. Got just over 7 minutes to showcase a little bit of what they can do here. This match, Matt, I do wish had got a little bit more time. This is the one I feel like on this show, this is the one I wish had just gotten maybe 2 more minutes, because it felt like they were just getting into their stride before Now got the win.
Yeah, I totally agree. If they were able to kind of maybe stretch out the middle and maybe at the ending a little to kind of click that into the next gear, regardless, they did not waste any second of their time. I mean, this match starts off with some quick falls back and forth. And then once the quick falls are done, Ria Seto's kind of just waiting for Now to leave a limb out. And she does, coming off that one small package, that one inside cradle, where she's able to take the arm and then go to the Fujiwara armbar. And then she starts working her chain of submissions in. And then we see now Ishikawa, really great underrated seller, is selling and really putting over Ria Seto's fantastic submission skills. Is able to fire back. We get a great back and forth near the end. And eventually, now Ishikawa hits the Takayama style German suplex for the 3, and I absolutely love that, how she just gets the high angle. And she's such a small competitor that when she gets them up, it looks like the bridge is just something that's just absolutely crazy that shouldn't be physically possible, but she does it. It looks beautiful and dangerous at the same time. 3.5 stars, but I totally agree. If this got like 9, 10, 11 minutes, this might be one that could have stole the entire show.
Another victory for Tank coming up then. Again, it's nice to see Minami Yuki, who did go through a spate of main eventing some of these touring shows before First Stream. It's nice to see that Marigold are obviously quite high on Minami Yuki, and I think we are starting to see what she is capable of doing. And I think the utter pasting that she gets, bless her, at the hands of Tank and Bozilla is really testament to how much they trust her and how much that they think she can offer in the future, because she has got a lot of upside. In terms of Tank, obviously, I know that people were quite shocked that she got the red belt match, after having that one match. And after that one match it wasn't the most well received on the card. One thing I will say is that she is incredibly imposing And when she's towering over the likes of Misa Matsui or even Minami Yuki, she does feel like a genuine threat that needs to be overcome. And I enjoyed it. I did enjoy that sort of little and large, that David and Goliath story they were telling, until Goliath absolutely obliterated David with a spear, of course, which is the lesser known version of that particular Bible story.
I've read the Bible a time or two. I don't remember that part happened. Maybe that was a Blu-ray bonus, deleted scene. But anywho, with Tank right now, less is more for her. And I mean that in the best possible way.
Agreed.
Like, again, she's a tank. She's going to run over you. She's not going to be doing the moonsaults or doing catch and wrestling or lucha style. It's just like, almost like Goldberg, like less is more. Let her get in, get out, showcase what she can do. Don't showcase what she can't do. And I think the longer she stays in Marigold, two main things is, one, she's going to get better, which we've already seen already. And two, they're going to revamp her look a little. Her gear is just plain black, very much like a dojo rookie. The only person that can really get away with that is Katsuyori Shibata, because it's Shibata. But I think eventually they kind of have to redo her look, very much like we've seen already with Bozilla. Like, you're a killer. Let's kind of just give you let's get a little more sizzle to the steak on her look. This match wasn't, 8 minutes. Simple story to tell. You get the wild brawl. We get heat on Minami Yuki. We get Misa. Anytime Bozilla comes in to drop the hammer, it takes Utami and Misa Matsui to take out Bozilla, which then you're kind of scratching your head and you're going, I wouldn't mind seeing Utami, Misa Matsui, some tag matches here or there, because they work really well together, and they have been in the past before. Again, let's give us maybe next time at KBS Hall, since we couldn't see the stained glass window, give us Natsumi Shozuki and Miko Ano.
We're not bitter about that at all.
We weren't the only ones, my man, because I had a ton of people tweeting at me, and I thought it was a rib. I'm like, I said, that's not KBS Hall. They're like, it is. But anywho, again, give us Misa Matsui Utami versus Miko Ano and Natsumi Shozuki or Mirai Sakurai, because again, they work really well together. And if they do some tag matches, you're only going to get Misa Matsui up more on the card because she's rubbing shoulders with your champion and your ace. But again, Utami and Misa Matsui, their job was to take up Ozilla. The job was well done. Megaton is in there to just be at total chaos, and eventually Tank gets the win on Minami Yuki. Easy story to tell. 3.25 stars. But again, we're building Tank up for that championship match coming the very next day, which we will get into in a few minutes, folks.
Moving on to the semi-main event then, Dark Wolf Army and Mai Sakurai and Chika Goto. Now, obviously, we had the match, and then we had the added stipulation for their Y belt match as well. Not only would the belt be on the line, but 10 million yen as well would be on the line, as both women, apparently, from what I'm led to believe, would be fronting 10 million yen of their own money as stakes in the match, as well as the untitled. So even more stakes heading into Korakuen Hall, Matt.
Rob, was it $10 million worth of stakes? Is that what you were saying, or that was the stake in the match? Because that's a lot.
How would you get that into Korakuen Hall? $10 million worth of stake.
Rob, correct me if I'm wrong. We're going to court. We should be in Korakuen Hall in about 11 months' time. So we have 11 months of planning to do, buddy. Maybe some Kobe beef. Yeah, remember that? Remember they had that Kobe beef match where I think Hazuki won like 2 years ago?
Yes, I do.
I'll tell you what, we're running down the rabbit hole. Yeah, again, very much like the match with that had Tank and Utami in the match before. The main driving factor for this match is you're selling more tickets to your match in Korakuen Hall coming up here in just a few days' time with Nagisa Nozaki and Mai Sakurai. Obviously, Chiaki is part of the tag team with Nagisa Nozaki, so we know they're going to have advantage on the team of the makeshift team of Chika Goto and Mai Sakurai, because they don't team up at that lot, or really at all. So you have that easy story to tell. Not only that, but Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki are the heels. So not only do they have the advantage in tag team, they have the advantage in bending and breaking the rules to get the advantage, which we see quite a bit. We get Chika Goto. We see her on the back foot a lot in this match, selling for Mai Sakurai to come in for the big hot tag. And again, she's a very, very fiery wrestler, very explosive when it comes to the forearms, the suplexes. Obviously, she's adopted the Glorious Driver, which we absolutely love. I love the fact that Julia kind of handed that move down to her. Obviously, the Yakuza kicks, the Masahiro Chono Shining Black that she does, that always sets up her STF. I thought it was just really good stuff. But eventually, though, it was the heels that got the win in this one. So again, simple story to tell. Your main crux is you're building towards that big Cork and Hall match. 3.5 stars for me. And again, I'm a big fan of this heel tag team of the Dark Wolf Army because they play their roles as heels, jerk heels too, Rob. So well, Marigold. They do a great job separating themselves on this stack roster.
I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about the 10 million yen stipulation added to the wide belt match, and the only reason I don't know how I feel about that is because you've got your babyface champion Mai Sakurai, who, you know, her entire gimmick is, you know, she is rich, she is lady of the ring, and you've got Nagisa Nozaki, who isn't, and basically you've got Mai Sakurai saying, I can put together 10 million yen, you know, like that. Can you? We're going to have these stakes in the match. And it felt like a very heel thing to do. And, you know, I don't know if they are going for sort of a Mai Sakurai just out of anger doing this or what, but I don't know. Felt like a weird thing that the match didn't necessarily need.
Yeah, I agree. Good point. Yeah, we talked about this before we hit the record button. And I was like, I didn't even look at it like that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This is something that that I don't think, the match needed. It already had the championship. It'd be one thing if it wasn't for the championship. And then you kind of add a stipulation to put a gimmick on it, but you're basically putting on a hat, which it didn't need.
No, because you've got two very, very, very good competitors in that match in Mai Sakurai and Nagisa Nozaki. Moving on to the main event then, and this is where all of my praise for Naho Yamada is going, because she was parachuted into this match at the nth hour because of that injury to Riara and to Hummingbird, and I think she was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this match was great. This match really, really was great. But for me, that link up between Naho Yamada, Miko Ano, Naho Yamada's passionate exchange, which I'm sure Nanae loved. That real fire and desire that she showed in those exchanges with Nanae, with Victoria Yuzuki, I thought was absolutely fantastic, and goes to show why she is so many people, like, just the highlight on this roster for so many people, because she's so damn enjoyable.
Yeah, again, she, for lack of a better term, has a lot of passion for pro wrestling, and it bleeds out. And again, it's easy to get behind her. Yes, exactly. Now, like, we know, spoilers for the Corkin show, that Misa Matsui is the next challenger for the Super Flyweight Championship. And I don't know which way they're going to go, because again, Yuzuki just won this belt, and Misa's challenged her for 100 times. Eventually, she's got a, it feels like Starlight Kid going for that high speed championship. But I'll say this: if Yuzuki, from what the exchanges I saw in this match with Yuzuki and Naho Yamada, I always say you have to start your shows out hot, especially your big shows, which obviously Marigold does once a month with the Corkin shows. If they go Yuzuki versus Naho Yamada for the Super Flyweight Championship, put that on as your opening match in Cork and Hall. Put that on for your YouTube feed. We've seen how much better business Stardom's been doing by putting the first show on your first match, every show free on YouTube, and it's a banger, and it's helped them out. We've seen subscriptions have gone up, their YouTube has gone up. So, why not? Again, Naho Yamada coming out, Naho Yamada being the first person in a packed, loud Cork and Hall, the first person you see. And again, if it's a singles match and she's out first, Rob, she's going to be singing. She's going to be singing. So, there you go, right there. So I would love to see that match. And again, I think Cork and Hall is the perfect setting for that place, because just how loud they are and how well that Marigold does drawing in that building. We've seen anywhere between 700 to 1,400. So I think that'd be a great place for that. Miko Ano Mirai, we know they are great opponents. Pretty darn good tag team too, which again just goes to show you how great they are as talents, when you could be standing across the ring from somebody or be in the same corner as somebody and still have really, really great chemistry. Obviously, Nanai and Sari, again, the main focus on the main driving factor is getting them to gel. You're getting more reps with them. You're getting as many reps with them as possible before their big Cork and Hall championship match. And they work really well together. Again, Yuzuki stands out quite a bit on this team, because you have the two powerhouses, and then you have basically your high impact, high speed style wrestler. Yeah, excellent stuff. And again, Victoria Yuzuki versus Miko Ano. That's another match that I didn't know I wanted to see until they started linking up here. Excellent stuff. My favorite match from this show, 3 3/4 stars. And again, you getting Nane another win here on her retirement road.
Yeah, and obviously following this, we then had a very impassioned promo from Seri Yamaoka. So not only is she main eventing, she's also taking the microphone and doing a very good job as well. She doesn't seem nervous at all, which is quite impressive. Again, at 17 years old. But yeah, she took to the mic and basically reiterated what we already talked about, the fact that she wanted to win the Twin Star Championships with Nanae to give her that big final send-off before she retires in May, and that it was the best way she could think of to say thank you for all of her help. And do you know what? I'm happy with that story. I'm happy with that story. And obviously we'll talk a little bit about the hot potatoing, because I know you're not hot on the hot potatoing, for lack of a better phrase.
But I like hot potatoes. I do. I like a baked potato or a sweet potato. Very good for you, sweet potatoes. The king of all root vegetables, by the way. There's your Uncle MT nutrition fact on this cold January day.
There you go. That's the new Marigold Standard shit. King of all root vegetables.
It's us coming out of a hot potato instead of, remember I told you, Amber, that we were coming out of lettuce before our new logo was colored? It's us coming out of hot potato with the steam coming behind us.
Oh, imagine. But I don't hate Seri Yamaoka and Nanae Takahashi getting the belts. I don't think Bozilla and Tank needed to win them, but I think that's where I had the issue. I think Seri and Nanae is the right decision with the story that they're going through. But again, we'll talk more about that on Wednesday. Moving on, then we move on to our final night of action, and that was night 3 of the Golden Garden series. This one coming at you from, as he tries desperately to change the number because he's not saved it because he's a fool. And now he's written the wrong thing. Come on, Rob, be better. There we go. See, it just takes a bit of time. There we go. Moving on to the third show, which of course is going to be most notable for the fact that it is Utami Hayashishita's first Marigold World Championship defense. This one coming, like I say, Monday, 13th of January, 2025 from the Chunichi Hall in Aichi, which Stardom ran twice the weekend before as well. This, of course, is the first time Marigold have run the venue, drawing 307 people to the venue. Marigold champion Utami Hayashishita only been Marigold champion for 10 days at this point in her first reign, and this will obviously be her first title defense as well. The results for this show then are as follows. In a 3-way match to open the show, Misa Matsui defeating Natsumi Shozuki and Ryoko Sakimura, with Matsui pinning Ryoko with the La Magistral Cradle in 8 minutes and 4 seconds. Tag team match, Bozilla and Megaton defeated Naho Ishikawa and Minami Yuki. Bozilla absolutely destroying Naho Ishikawa with a driller hole pile driver in 6 minutes and 53 seconds. Bozilla was in no mood to play at all. Dark Wolf Army then, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki defeated Mai Sakurai and Ria Seto, with Nagisa Nozaki locking in that body choke face lock onto Ria Seto in 13 minutes and 47 seconds. Pardon me, the semi-main event 6-woman tag match, Mirai, Victoria Yuzuki, and Seri Yamaoka defeating Miku Ono, Chika Goto, and Naho Yamada. Victoria Yuzuki pinning Yamada with a cross-arm suplex in 18 minutes and 21 seconds. Busy day for Victoria Yuzuki, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then in the main event, Marigold World Championship match, the champion Utami Hayashishita retains in her first defense, defeating Tank with a hijack bomb in 10 minutes and 27 seconds. Matt, obviously a busy day for Victoria Yuzuki, as I mentioned. The event was held in her hometown. She opened the show. Hair looked incredible. And that was because earlier in the day, she'd attended her own coming of age ceremony before then coming to the show and performing in the semi-main event. So fair play to Victoria Yuzuki, and I hope she had a lovely time at her coming of age ceremony.
We've seen there's a lot of these coming of age ceremonies. I believe Rian had her own, right?
I believe it was Rian, Hanan, and
Ruaka. I wonder, considering the fact that how Rian and Yuzuki's hair looked, after these coming of age ceremonies, do they get like the beauty salon zest hair treatment? which I still don't know if we ever paid off that storyline from 2 or 3 years ago. That's something that they may have to revisit. But yeah, she looked fantastic. A good way to start the show with the hometown queen coming in, coming of age ceremony, the hair looking good. Her costume's been looking terrific. She looks great in the ring. She's a new champion. So really good way to kind of pump up the crowd before we get this pretty much high speed Superfly 3-way to start the show, which I was shocked how well that this went, considering the fact that you have a rookie in this match with 2 of the fastest wrestlers in the company.
You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more with you. I think, I saw that we got Natsumi Shizuki and Misa Matsui together, and you're like, well, these two, they're always really entertaining to watch. They've always got really good chemistry, whether they're teaming together or when they're against each other. And it's like, okay, well, how is this rookie going to fare in a match like this when you've got the speed of Misa Matsui, the striking ability, and the dismissive nature of Natsumi Shizuki? We'd seen her obviously have that singles match with Shizuki, but adding in that very, very quick third element, it's a completely different ball game. And actually, I think she handled it very, very well. And she deserves a lot of credit for the way that she's conducted herself in these 3 matches.
Yeah, again, she's been in the 3 openers, all against 3 really capable wrestlers, and she's able to hang with them. And again, it's a credit to her, and it's a credit to her opponents, being able to slot in her moveset and the psychology where it fits in, not overcomplicating things just yet. And again, 3-ways are tough to do, especially when you have 2 high-speed, super flyweight championship style wrestlers, but they do a great job inserting Ryoko Satomura, her offense, into certain things. Eventually, as we're getting towards the end, it does basically turn into almost a makeshift singles match with Misa and Natsumi Shizuki, which is fine. Obviously, then we see Ryoko come in, breaking up some pinfalls. Ultimately she's going to eat the fall here, which is what happens. Again, a really good outing from a young rookie, being able to slot it 3 days in a row, 3 singles matches, or not singles matches, 3 openers, but doing really, really well for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And again, and that's a tough position to do, to open the show, because ultimately your job is to set the table for the rest of the competitors. And I thought she did a great job. I had this at 3.5 stars. And again, we've said it 100 times on the show. We're going to say it again. Misa Matsui, Natsumi Shizuki, they're just fantastic talent. And the fact that we get to watch their matches and then talk about it here, Rob, unbelievable, buddy. Unbelievable. It makes that bruise on your body probably go away. You probably don't even feel it right now. I mean, as soon as we're done, the probably adrenaline will wear off, but it probably not even thinking about it right now.
Oh, I am. Moving.
You're so subtle.
Oh, it is throbbing like a... Yeah, well, you get the idea. Moving on to the second match on the card. Naho Ishikawa, Manami Yuzuki, Bozilla, and Megaton. Not a great deal to say about this match. There was a scream off between Megaton and Naho Ishikawa. At one point, we had a German suplex off the second rope teased to Megaton. I was like, surely not. But no, that didn't happen. And Bozilla then managed to maneuver Naho Ishikawa into a drill hole pile driver and absolutely destroy her in less than 7 minutes. But this was fine. It's not one you need to go back and watch.
No, I usually don't. We knew this was a glorified squash, and I usually don't rank squash matches, but I did give it the gentleman 3 stars because it's a squash match for Bozilla on one side and now Ishikawa on the other side. And for some reason, these two just have this underrated chemistry.
They do, don't they? Yeah.
It's just like when it's probably like when they get to the show and they're like, all right, we're in the ring together, and Bozilla's like, I'm going to destroy you. And now Ichikawa's like, I'm going to make you work for it. I'm going to hit you with the hardest forms possible. And I know you're not going to sell them because you shouldn't. It's just really weird how these two work together. And I don't know if they realize what they have here, but they have something. I mean, we're not sure what we're doing with Bozilla. She's kind of on her now. We'll be shocked if they build her up and give her a red belt match with Utami, because that might be the spot that she has. But I would love to see these two kind of go back and forth. But eventually now Ishikawa getting a win on Bozilla, because they really have something special here. But other than that, like I said, partner, really not much to write home about. Again, I gave the gentleman's 3 stars just because, again, it's a squash match. But now in Bozilla, for some reason, they just have this really good underlying chemistry together that I don't know if they realize what they have here with these two.
Moving on then, Matt. The Dark Wolf Army picking up another key victory over Mai Sakurai, and this time Ria Seto. What did you think of this? I imagine you were very similar to me and thoroughly enjoyed this.
We make mentions on some of these Marigold shows with these matches. It's just like the shows are short, like 90 to 100 minutes. And then you're like, yeah, this match could have got 2 minutes more. This match could have got 3 minutes more. And again, we don't know if you want, especially with these newer wrestlers that we haven't seen over the last 6, 7, 8 months. Maybe you don't want to expose them just yet, but maybe we're just like, we just kind of want to see where they can go. Again, you have your best heel tag team in the Dark Wolf Army on one side. You have Mai Sakurai here. Again, she's your white belt champion. She is the winner of the first Twin Star Cup and your first tag team champion. So we know she's a great tag wrestler. And again, Rhea Seto, we've been singing her praises just between her look, or what she's been able to do in the ring. She's great here. And what this match got was it got time. Again, we keep saying, but I wish I got 2 more minutes. I wish I got 3 more minutes. These shows are kind of somewhat short. Why don't you give some of these underneath matches a minute or two, just maybe to flesh out their story and to see what they can do. We were able to see what Rhea Seto was able to do here in almost a 14-minute match. Yes, you have former tag team champions in there. Yes, you have your number 2 wrestler in there from a kayfabe aspect, because she is holding the championship, as you call the partner. But I thought Rhea Seto was good here. And again, the fact that you have the Dark Wolf Army, your normal tag team, bending the rules a little bit to get the advantage, only for Mai Sakurai to come in, make the comeback, but eventually it's tag team work that takes out Mai Sakurai, which is what you want to have, because you want to start putting doubt in people's brains to start thinking, well, if this happens in Korakuen Hall, we're going to have a new champion, because we just saw her dominate. And we know that it's Chiaki's going to be there to help out, which obviously she did in Korakuen Hall, which we will talk about later this week. But ultimately, it's Rhea Seto eating the fall here. I thought this was a terrific match. And again, it got time to tell their story. I had it 3 3/4 stars. I think if this one would have went 9, 10 minutes, I don't think I would have rated it as high as it was. But the fact that they gave heels time to tell their story, to get the baby faces over, only to put the heels over. It's a back and forth. I thought this was terrific. And again, Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki is a tag team I'm thoroughly enjoying, because they stand out with all the other tag teams in Marigold, because they cheat, Rob.
They do. They cheat, but they cheat well.
Yes, very well. Exactly. I will pay money to see them get beat up by a Miko Ano. That's what heels do, my friend.
Pay money to see anyone get beaten up by Miko Ano, to be perfectly honest, Matt. Moving on then to your semi-main event, Victoria Yuzuki and Sari Yamaoka against Miko Ano, Chika Goto, and Naho Yamada. This was my favorite match on the card by a distance. And again, you look at the talent in this picture, and it's not difficult to see why. And what I really like is, in Kouki Amarei's absence, Chika Goto is seamlessly fitting into this sort of main event, semi-main event spot that Kouki Amarei had made for herself, sort of made her own, before that injury. And the fact that Chika Goto has fit into that and, has managed to do it without drawing too much attention to it, I think is credit to her and credit to the work she's put in.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned we just talked about the last show. Naho Yamada crossed the ring from Victoria Yuzuki. It seems to work. Miko Ano, Mirai always seems to work. Sari Yamaoka, again, she is the Utami of this company. The young Utami, which is a huge compliment. Obviously, that's what Rossi's going for, and he's hitting it out of the park. And Chika Goto, again, somebody that was dealt a bad hand, again, by accident, because accidents happen. It's just like, what? I'm going to make my own stake. I'm just coming back from injury. I didn't get the match that I wanted because of the unfortunate injury to my friend Kouki Amarei. We know eventually they're going to run it back sometime when Kouki Amarei seems to be fit. But Chika Goto's like, you know what? I'm in these matches. All systems go. The show must go on. She's making the most of herself in these matches. Again, I thought she was terrific. Again, you have Miko Ano in there. I thought her exchanges with Sari Yamaoka, not only this show, but the show before, were really good, because styles make fight. You have the striker versus the wrestler, and it works really well together. It's just like, can the wrestler get in, the distance to take the striker down? Can the striker be able to maneuver and stuff the takedowns in order to work her strikes? I would love to see these two have a singles program sometime soon, or Natsumi Shozuki, Miko Ano versus Sari Yamaoka and Nanae Takahashi. That might be the way to go, partner. Maybe just wishful thinking. But yeah, I had this at 4 stars. I totally agree with you. This was my favorite match of this show. It might have been my favorite match of these 3 shows we're talking about. Again, this is just terrific. And Marigold, doesn't matter which way, sometimes they switch up certain tag matches, whether it's 6-person or 8-person. They always seem to make it work. And, they always seem to make it work.
Really
and again, another huge shout out for Naho Yamada. She might be my new favorite wrestler of 2025, buddy.
She's very, very, very good, and genuinely someone that I go out of my way now to watch, which is actually the exact same as Victoria Yuzuki.
Plus, she does the stunner. Plus, she does the stunner, buddy. And
she does do the stunner.
Stunners,
Absolutely.
buddy.
Absolutely. Maybe we can get her a Stardom cast beer in Vegas. Moving on to the main event then, the the Marigold World Championship. Almost said the complete wrong thing. Now, I have no problem saying that I was very, very cautious about this match. I did not think Tank was ready for this match. I did not think that Tank should have been Utami's first challenger. I think she needed a big statement win to start off with. And I said that after the first stream show. I thought that this was an interesting way to go. And, I did have relatively low expectations because Tank has seemed quite green. She's only 20 or so matches into her own career. She has a great look, is incredibly muscular. But, we hadn't seen her in a singles context. We had only seen her in one big match prior to this. And, we've said it wasn't the best match. However, this match surpassed my expectations. Now, this isn't a 4 3/4 Sari and Nanae Takahashi bludgeoning each other to death match. Of course it's not. But it significantly surpassed what I thought it was going to be. And there's two things to sort of take from that. One, it shows just how good Utami Hayashishita is in ring. Secondly, credit to Tank, because this is the most we've seen her in ring. During that tag match for the tag titles, she did not a great deal. In those other tag matches, she wasn't in the ring for long, sort of did her stuff, got out, which is fair enough. That's how you need to use her. Here, there was nowhere to hide. And we said, didn't we, on the preview, that it was very much a case of sink or swim. Okay, you're in the main event. You're going for our top championship. Let's see how you go when we just sort of say, right, here you go. Let's see what you can do. And actually, I think she did really well. I think she did far better than I thought she was going to. Her offense looked a little bit more impactful. The match flowed a lot better. And again, I know that a lot of this will be down to Utami, but Tank does deserve credit for it going a lot better than I thought it was going to, being a lot more captivating than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think that I know me and a lot of our listeners, and I don't know if you were thinking about this part. And we knew that Utami, after she won the Dream Star, like, yeah, she's going to get that belt. They're building up to her and Sari. It's going to be, she's going to get that belt. And we all thought that Utami was somebody that probably should have got a second red belt run in Stardom. Obviously, it didn't happen. She leaves, goes to Marigold. So we're all biting at the chop, like, oh, we can't wait for this, because her red belt run in Stardom was legendary. Not only from a match aspect, from a business aspect. That 20 to 2021 red belt run did such great business from Stardom that they're at a high that they keep just getting better. That red belt run was so good. It even benefited Rob Goodwin, because he actually wrote a book on 2021 called Stardom Living the Dream, 10th anniversary. Right there. There's Utami right there. But anyway.
It is. That is Utami. In fact, I've actually got one signed by Utami.
Oh,
just there. So
you got it signed by Utami. Wow. I bet you a handsome individual was able to broker that deal.
Well, Amber is incredibly handsome, so thank you to Amber.
I'll tell you what, she did very well that day. Didn't complain at all. I had her standing for 6 hours. But anywho, so it's like, okay, she gets the win over Sari. Great match. Very much like her match in Mayu when she won the red belt. We're like, okay, here we go. If you remember who Utami's first match was, it was with Momo Watanabe. No disrespect to Tank. She's no Momo Watanabe. So we're all kind of scratching our heads like, it's a weird way to start off this run. But they did have a really cool visual after Utami won the belt. Tank comes over to challenge. Tank is like almost like a foot taller than Utami. So we already have that simple storytelling here. Again, with Tank, less is more. And I mean that in the best way possible. You have a championship match that goes 10 minutes. Now, when it comes to the top wrestling I enjoy the most, obviously Stardom, Marigold, AEW, I want my championship matches to go right around 20 minutes because you're telling that long story. Mm-hmm. This did not need to go 20 minutes. I'm glad it didn't. this match was just bomb after bomb after bomb. That's basically what it was. You get a big lockup. I have to put that down. Big lockup to start.
The Matt Turner lockup. We love a Matt Turner lockup.
Love it, buddy. I love it. And Utami, our champion, our hero, is on the back foot, getting shoulder tackle, getting beaten pillar to post. Eventually, he's able to weather the early storm from Tank, starts hitting German suplexes, is able to get away from the big spear. You know, they tease the hijack bomb in the beginning, like maybe about 6 minutes into the match. Like, that's not going to happen. She eventually does hit it, but we do see Tank is able to make a little bit of a comeback again. She makes Tank look really, really good here, and then eventually puts her away with the. Oh, she does put her away with the. She kicks out the torture rack bomb. Excuse me, which is what she defeated Mai Sakurai with to win the Dream Star. So again, that's a move that we've seen Utami win matches with. However, Tank kicks out, but eventually we go back to the hijack bomb that we teased early on in the match and is able to put Tank away. Yeah, again, this was really, really good. Again, 10 minutes. Did not overstay its welcome. With Tank, less is more. And I mean that in the best way possible because Tank looked like a legit badass here, which one, you're absolutely right, partner. Credit to Tank. She's put in a tough spot. Only, just her second or third match, or fourth or fifth match in Marigold. Wrestling not only for the championship, but Utami Hayashishita, your ace, your best wrestler in this company. And she does a great job. Sink or swim. She definitely swam, and Utami made sure that she did. And we kind of figured like when this match was announced, we're kind of scratching our heads. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of weird. But it is Utami, and she does a great job making everybody look better than they do. And she did that with Tank. And it's just kind of like when this match finished, we're like, yeah, we kind of figured that would happen. We kind of figured it'd be a little better than we thought because it's Utami. It's big match Utami. But again, credit to Tank. She really brought it. She had a step up her game, and she sure did. I had it 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah, it was far better, and like I said, credit to both women for putting on what was, like you said, summed up perfectly. A 10-minute bomb fest, basically what it was, and for Utami to get Tank up again, who is a foot taller than her and built so much, like there's so much more of Tank than there is of Utami. For Utami to get her up for both the hijack bomb and the torture rat bomb is bloody impressive. Because, like I said, Utami throughout the build to this match had been saying, "Well, I'm going to show you how strong I am. I'm going to show you how strong I am." And she did very, very much so. And she had another opportunity to show how strong she was, because who should come out and challenge Utami but Megaton, which I was like, this can't be V2. This cannot be V2. It isn't. It's a special singles match. Megaton, who is, of course, the former Bulldozer Todoroki from Actress Girls, challenged Utami to a special singles match at Korakuen Hall, which Utami did accept. This is Megaton's first singles match since May of 2024. She has a current singles record of 0-5. So we'll talk about that singles match during our Korakuen Hall review, which will be released on Wednesday evening. So make sure you look at that in your feeds. But Matt Turner, before we go anywhere, we have, of course, got one more segment to look at, and that is, of course, a gaze at Julia.
Rob Goodwin, good things come to those who wait. We really haven't had a proper gaze at Julia in a few weeks, just because it was the holidays. We had video packages. We haven't had an actual match. Julia, Roxanne Perez to Electric Boogaloo, New Year's Evil. And I always say you want to start your shows off with a hot match. I don't know how the rest of the show was, just because I'm strapped for time, but I know NXT, from what I understand, is absolutely crushing it. This was match one, and this was fantastic. When they had their first match, the debut of the CW, they had a good match, but just seemed like their chemistry was just a little bit off. They hit an absolute home run here. We get chain wrestling, then we get some great 1-2 back and forth between the two, a couple near falls, maybe trying to blow up the referee. Eventually, Julia slows Roxanne Perez down by just punching her in the face and then going from boot scrape. So it's Julia, just nothing new here. Julia does Julia. That's what happens. Slows down Roxanne Perez. Forearm exchange. Julia goes to the top rope. She gets cut off with a top rope hurricanrana from Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez must have watched the Julia Sari match, because she goes after Sari's arm, or Julia's arm, very much like Sari did back at Summer Destiny. Yeah, even to the point where she's like ripping off the protective tape and going to the armbar, which I thought was really, really good. And again, Roxanne Perez is absolute next level pro wrestler. I mean, just really, she's the glue that's been holding NXT together over the past year or two. I mean, just really just a fantastic next level wrestler. Julia goes to the outside. Roxanne Perez hits the low main dive. Roxanne Perez goes to the top rope again. She gets cut off. Julia hits the top rope butterfly superplex. Really good stuff there. Julia then hits the 360 glorious driver for a 2 count. She goes for the Northern Lights bomb, but Roxanne Perez slips out, goes back to the armbar, transitions the armbar into the crossface, which I thought was great. We get a Julia goes to the ropes to break up the crossface. Roxanne Perez does then does her best Mayu Iwatani impersonation, hitting that baseball dropkick, sending Julia to the floor. Roxanne Perez then gets a little bit too anxious. She goes to pick up Julia, but you're fighting Julia on the floor, Rob. We made mention of 30 seconds ago that she's Stardom Julia. Now, she doesn't pile drive Roxanne Perez through a table here, but she hits the Northern Lights bomb onto the concrete floor, folks. Cora Jade tries to interfere. She does a little bit, nowhere near as much as she did in the first match, like akin back to that. We do see the pop rocks for a 2.99 count, and then she goes to the Fujiwara armbar. Julia rolls out of the Fujiwara armbar, and I like that. Roxanne Perez hits her finisher. Julia kicks out, but then she goes to the move that was giving her success in the middle of this match. Julia rolls through the Fujiwara armbar, hits the G trigger, now known as the Arrivederci knee, and then hits the Northern Lights bomb. But this time she hits it in the middle of the ring where you can win the match, gets the 3 count. This was all sorts of fantastic. Julia's best match in NXT. And folks, if you have not seen this one yet, go out of your way to see this, because Roxanne Perez is fantastic and Julia was like Stardom Julia into this match, like just punching people in the head, taking big bumps, making their opponent look really good, doing dangerous moves onto the outside. I mean, this is the Julia. A lot of people thought like, oh, they're going to repackage Julia and not make her the dangerous queen. It's like, we know we're not getting 100% Stardom Marigold Julia, but you signed Julia for a reason. Let her be this Julia. And this is the Julia that we got. Again, this was fantastic. I don't know if you've seen this one yet, buddy, but if you do, go out of your way to see. It's about 13, 14 minutes. And again, folks, it's the first match on this show. So again, if you're like me, pressed for time, you can't watch everything, but want to support the Joshi, that are over in the United States, making big bucks. It's the first match on the show. Go out of your way to see it, because this was terrific.
Definitely go out of my way to see that. Ladies and gentlemen, and what a way to end the show as well. Julia becoming NXT Women's Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Next episode, which again will drop on Wednesday, we'll go through that Korakuen Hall show. We'll also go through the cards that have now been announced for the 25th and the 26th for Shinkiba First Ring and Yokohama Radiant Hall. Don't want to go through them yet, because obviously a lot of it is dependent on what happens at Korakuen. So, there's no point in us doing that really. So we'll go through all of that on Wednesday in a little bonus episode for you all. So look for that in your feeds. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us on the Marigold Standard. Thank you for being patient with us whilst we get a Marigold Standard up, because we are a slave, unfortunately, to the upload schedule of Wrestle Universe. So we've had to wait and sort of timetable ourselves around it. So we do appreciate every single one of you. Thank you to everyone that listens, subscribes, or gives us the time of day. We really, really do appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed, you can find us wherever you find your podcasts. You can leave us a 5-star review or a comment, completely free way to support the podcast and helps us be exposed to even more people. You can also subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you can get all of our archived episodes, all of our bonus episodes, and you can get this episode here early and ad-free for as little as $1 solitary a month. Thank you to all of our amazing patrons over there. You can find all website, talkjoshi.com, all of the news, all of the reviews, all of the previews from Stardom and Marigold, and all of the history and statistics you need to get into both of the companies as well. Find us on social media at Marigold Podcast, unless, of course, it is Blue Sky or Instagram or Threads, in which case it is Talk Joshi, where you can also find us on YouTube as well. You talk to me on Twitter, if you so wish, on @RealRobGoodwin. Matt Turner, sign us off, good sir.
questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, folks. Matt Turner OF on the Instagram, on the Twitter, and the Blue Sky. If you want to shoot me an email, that's perfectly fine. The email address is simply thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another fun-filled episode of the Marigold Standard. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do it without you because, like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because when all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.